Hello and welcome to our Vaesen Tavern Talk for episode 3 of our Vaesen Actual Play. I'm Matt, your host, and I'm joined by the entire crew of our Vaesen game. So thanks everyone for making the time.
We are so excited. Let's do this.
Yeah, so without any further ado, I can actually be in chat a little bit more this time than I was in the last one, but
Yeah.
Eric, take it away, Mr. GM.
Let's do it. Vaesen. So we finished our mystery or our first mystery, I should say, last session. So that was wonderful. And sort of like we did with the Forbidden Lands, I'm going to start before I stop with what I got wrong. And so we had actually started talking about fear when we were talking about Forbidden Lands. And you guys made no fear rolls whatsoever, when absolutely rules have written you should definitely have done that. Confronting Vaesen for the first time, one that you had never seen before, and one who murdered someone in front of your faces. So there are a couple things there. The first one is that I just didn't think about it at the time. Second thing is a big thing for me last time in this last session is that, it's like a quarter of a year now we spent on this mystery, right? Like effectively it's 3 months. With
a 1 month gap in between as well. So
yeah, so doing a session, once a month, and it's like, okay, well, maybe let's put the gas down and try to get through the rest of this, right? I mean, doing the fear rolls probably would have slowed things down. And ultimately, I feel like you guys played the fear, right? You turned and left, which is a very reasonable thing to do in the situation, right? And there was a lot of hesitation and things like that. So absolutely, we could have used the mechanics to underscore that. So yeah, on the one hand, while I just kind of overlooked that, sort of rules wise, I mean, I think narratively it played out fine, and I don't think it was broken mechanically. So yeah, there's that. I don't know if you guys have any.
I think we were role playing. We were role playing like we weren't. This actually came up in a YouTube comment for episode 3. Why didn't we tackle it in a more heroic manner, kind of?
Oh, really? I haven't seen that. I need to go look it up.
If you go check the YouTube comments for episode 3, I forgot to mention it in our Discord for you to have a look at it. But somebody was like, "Why did you leave somebody to die?" And it was like, you left somebody you left somebody with a monster to go and die, and I was like, well, yeah, but it made sense at the time because we were all fucking battered, right? And we had no fucking chance in hell of surviving that encounter. So it was like, yeah, we'll live to fight another day. This thing's letting us go. We kind of were, half of the group maybe, or some of us in the group were already thinking that the priest was expendable as it was. So if the Vaesen had to pick someone to destroy, then that was the right person to choose. So yeah, but the comment was interesting because people kind of saw that as going back to our Forbidden Lands discussion that we just had with our Forbidden Lands Tavern Talk, where we were talking about realism and making decisions as a rational person, as a player, but trying to get in the head of your character, and what happens when your character should not be thinking rationally. And I think that's a good example of that, where somebody, if we're sitting at home as players and thinking I'm just numbers on a character sheet and yeah, maybe we could survive this. It's like a numbers game, but it's put yourself in the shoes of your character. You're surrounded. We've got these two possessed fucking scary people with rifles approaching us. We've got this super powerful creature. We're all really weak. No, hell no. I'm not gonna die in this place for that priest.
Yeah, I think it was I think it turned out actually pretty well not using the fear rules. I think maybe using the fear rules would have made more sense if we had tried to do something. Let's say Sven and Hjalmar tried to attack it. Then I think it would have made a bit more sense to have the fear rules take hold of them there. Because otherwise it does feel a little bit like like maybe forced. You know, it's like nothing's happening. Like, I mean, obviously it's there, it's being scary, but we were, like you said, role playing that fear. If out of the blue you're like, oh yeah, I know you guys aren't doing anything right now, roll me a fear test, just, you know, for the hell of it. I think that I think it turned out pretty good. And like Matt was saying, I think it's always a very delicate kind of like walking in the rope position between being a realistic character and being a fun character for the story. Because if we all role played as rational people, we wouldn't go to that village in the first place. We would have stayed at home.
You wouldn't be part of the society in the first place.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, this entire thing reminds me of the thing that, is it Sean McCoy who wrote Mothership? Said about the stealth rules in that game. If you don't have it, you just have to roleplay it, and I think we did it quite well here. And I think it didn't create a problem because we were playing afraid.
It was our first mystery. That's how I played too. Like, we were confronting this Vaesen for the first time. I mean, we had our visions before, whatever, but this was the real first time that we were going out as a team. And I think for me, it was actually a success the way we finished. In a way, we survived and we didn't overcome the problem or the mystery totally. We understood what was going on, but we had to flee. And I think that works well for the first time. I mean, I think it's okay to me.
It's Rocky 1, which is one of the best movies ever. So you went the distance.
I mean,
This next mystery, we're all coming back with Molotovs in our shirts, got guns, like a machete in the back.
Does that mean we're gonna have like
not Rambo? Rocky.
Does that mean we're gonna have a training montage like scene in the next session?
I'll say Rambo, the very first Rambo movie, is also a fantastic movie.
Yes.
I won't say anything about the sequels, but the first one is good.
I agree.
Anyway, off topic. So we did use fear rules in that game. I think at the beginning of the second session, when Salma had her run-in with the creepy people, and they did like the funky. Like sap healing type thing. We did a fear roll there, and also for Sven the NPC, I had the presence of mind to have him react with fear. So yeah, we'll see in the next mystery how that will come up. Cool. The second thing I have is related to kind of what I brought up in the very beginning is the length of mystery and sessions, and also like some concerns about like the compatibility with the format of having like 2-hour sessions once a month, especially when they spread out over a couple of months. I think Simon was saying how he felt like he was sorry to call you out, feeling like losing details along the way. And it seems like a challenge, and like the more I think about it, I'm not. So like you can make mysteries kind of shorter and more condensed in the sense of you have sort of perhaps like one significant place, and then it kind of leads from there directly to the confrontation. I'm not sure how satisfying that would be, like doing that more than a couple times. So anyway, it's something I'm thinking about. And we'll see with the next mystery I'm planning. I've already started writing. We'll see how we can change it up. But yeah, thoughts.
I think if you run a one shot, like a 2-hour one shot, which for if that's what it would be, the problem when you come along with those, I mean, we've had that because me and Eric and Simon, we've played those weekly games, and I think the problem with one shots is that you have to rush everything, and it just feels ham-fisted and forced, and it stops being a mystery so much as I think the thing of the mystery is watching the players fumble in the dark and like try to solve it, and you just can't get that with a one shot. I think that can be really hard, like a short one shot. Obviously, if you do it,
I think it would feel like
maybe in
like
4
one
hours
of these,
you might be able to do it.
I was gonna say, like, I think probably the shortest you could do, in my opinion, would be, at least in the format we're running, would be 2 sessions. Because I think it would feel very artificial. It'd feel like like a CSI episode where it's like, oh look, we solved everything in just the right nick of time, and it all just like we caught the bad guy, and
I mean, I've run good, or rather, I've played in good mystery one-shots, but those have all been very long. Like, I played in one that was 6 hours long, and that was sort of a
but that's what we had. That's what we
Poirot
had.
style, yeah.
That's what we had here. Three 2-hour sessions, right?
Yeah.
So that worked.
Yeah.
And it worked well. But like, the main concern I've had with the format is that there is so much time in between.
Yeah.
And the build-up of a mystery, like the internal build-up of an episode, I feel becomes slightly less good because it would be better with 3 hours, I think, and then you have a mystery that takes 2 3-hour sessions rather than 3 2-hour sessions. But that's a thing I've been thinking about and complaining about to Eric, to out myself again.
Only once.
Yes, I know. But it's more like a thing I was thinking about, so I was ranting at Eric about it once.
Yeah, I mean, but I think it's definitely an interesting point, right? And so yeah, as much as I can, like I'll think about what's next mystery. So this mystery, anyway, it's the first one I've written for Vaesen. It's the first one I've written for Three Skulls Tavern. So that there's some little like details and things in there which, you know, maybe easy sort of miss, especially when you're having gaps between. So it's just something I'll be thinking about. Yeah. So
for me, I think the length was good enough. I think 6 hours was pretty good. The only, I mean, I like it, and I will talk about this on the second Tavern talk, that I didn't want it to rush it because I wanted to enjoy the game and play my character. If I was just pushing the things without helping the people or trying to save, I'm not playing my character. So why bother? So that's why I think I wouldn't rush it. I don't think we need to stick to 6 hours or 8 hours. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what recommends in Vaesen, but we could do as you think is best. I mean, I like developing character.
Yeah, I think this is the thing that I was thinking about most, really, is that when you're trying to get a mystery working and get the like important plot points happening in the 2-hour segments, doing both mystery and role playing is very difficult in 2 hours. If you want good RP and good mystery, you need a little bit more time. And that's just a concern I've been thinking about quite a lot, because I think we all want this to be, you know, as good as it can get. And I think a little bit more time would be helpful for that.
Yeah.
But that's Matt's call, really.
Well, it's not really. I mean, theoretically, we could do more often. Like the crunch. Oh god, yeah. If we want to have the format with having a tavern talk after every episode, it becomes tricky with scheduling. Then if we're doing it every 2 weeks, like we'd have to ditch the tavern talks, which could be possible.
Could happen.
And if everybody else who's here would be able to do fortnightly episodes, including or especially Eric, pointing the wrong way, then yeah, it could be possible. But like I don't want to put that much pressure on Eric. It wasn't what we originally discussed. So theoretically, if everyone's happy with it and to ditch Tavern Talks, then we could do it.
Yeah. Or we could do Tavern Talks after the conclusion of a mystery.
Yeah, we could do it as like if people are happy to stay on an extra 30 to 60 minutes, then we could do it. Yeah. At the end of a mystery, right?
Or
okay,
only
so,
do
I mean,
one,
we could only either do it after a mystery or after a session.
Yeah.
Do a slight little discussion.
Yeah, it does work different from Forbidden Lands in that way.
it does. I think
that might be an
sense.
idea. Let's see how this next one goes, and then revisit it. I think.
We are still missing things, right? Because we didn't do the development of the castle. We didn't do the
we haven't done that yet.
So we are still missing important things, right?
Maybe this is an idea. Let's keep it going for the rest of the year, right? We've got October and November coming up. We're not going to be running any games in December. I'm taking December as a bit of a break, otherwise my wife will probably divorce me. And maybe then we'll see how that goes after our November game. So that like we're trying to do like a shorter, or you're going to be trying to do a shorter mystery. You've said, Eric. I mean, obviously. That might not work with us, but
we'll see how it goes.
If it works, otherwise there's going to be a massive gap, like November to January, right?
Yeah.
Another 2-month gap.
If
we can wrap it up there, then maybe we can talk about when we come back in January to coming back to a fortnightly format. Because I think I agree. I think Vaesen is or any investigative game does need to be run a little bit more often than monthly, because you need to keep the plot is a bit more.
Yeah.
You need to keep like the plot needs to be fresh in your mind. Otherwise, like if you haven't taken good notes, even if you've taken the good notes, you'll miss stuff. And like we had 2 months in between the two last sessions, so that was way too long.
Yeah, that was too much. I think everyone agrees with
that. I think that was my fault because I had to move, so we reorganized.
It's fine. Like we're figuring this out, right?
Outrageous.
We've only had 3 sessions, so that's not a problem. It's just it is what it is, and like we're figuring this out. I don't think I want to change it right now at this very minute, but I think we've got 2 more sessions to the rest of the year. Then we're going to take a little break, and maybe that's the time to come back and do fortnightly. So why not? I've got nothing else planned for the channel. I've got any other like pressing games to be running soon. So if Eric's happy with it, we'll talk about it anyway after after our November game. See what we think. But I haven't got any objections to it.
You want a hamon if that convinces you?
Oh my god. That makes it very easy. That's not even a conversation. Yes. Just yes. Whatever you want. Yeah, okay, before I get too distracted. Oh yeah, so Tony, you brought up development points and experience. So we talked about that at the end of the last session, though. It's just you haven't spent them yet, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So, I mean, we can... Yeah, before our next session, we should definitely do that, probably through Discord.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. We'll see if there's, like, a ton of time left after these next couple points. Maybe we can talk about it some, but...
Yeah, I don't know if you want to.
I'm not prepared for that, so...
I think we can do it. We can do it in Discord, then we can have a quick recap at the start. So rather than spending like half an hour doing it live on stream, let's do it in between and give a quick 5-10 minute recap of what we did. I think that'd be fine, because in my opinion, that's how it should be run at the table. Is you should be maybe with Vaesen is you should be doing some of this development work in between sessions, assuming you're playing once a week or every other week or something.
Right.
I don't know. Oh, it depends. I guess it depends on your group. If you're meeting up for like 6 hours at a stretch, then no problem. But yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's gonna be fun to watch the 4 of us argue about what developments to put in the society.
I don't know.
I mean, it could be, but it might not. It's like one of those.
Not for a monthly game. Not for a monthly game.
Should we put the botanical garden? No. What if we hire a gardener, but then we need the botanical garden, Simon?
Thrilling.
I still think we should get the botanical garden.
Is there a possibility? I just want a bar.
Yeah.
Hotel bar. That's all I need.
I'm with Amadeo on the bars.
Priorities.
It is a good idea. Cool. Yeah, so the next thing, GM prep that I've written down here on my handy little note card is okay. So for this last session, and like I had alluded to this earlier, I really wanted to sort of make sure that we got through to the sort of confrontation of the mystery in this last session. You were getting close, like after the second session, so I thought, all right. Because either we were going to get through it this last time, or we were going to not, but then have very little for the next one, right? So yeah, I kind of when you write mysteries for Vaesen, you include in them like a sort of clock, right? And it's kind of like the countdown to catastrophe. So there's things that can go wrong. And they're there specifically in case you need to push people, right? And so like I cranked that notch at the beginning of the session, and yeah, tried to push this on toward the end. Really, because this is the same mystery I had written now 4 months ago, it was a lot of front-loaded crunch or prep, not crunch, a lot of front-loaded prep. But I didn't do a whole lot for this last session beyond thinking about, okay, what are the ways that I'm going to sort of push this along towards conclusion? What does that change? What do you need to know? What things do I need to tell you to sort of see this through? So that was really the majority of the prep that I did for last session. Yeah, it wasn't a whole lot. I mean, I was just going by my original mystery, whereas with the second session, I actually edited some things with the original mystery, but this time I didn't feel the need.
So I've got a question for you.
Sure.
And that has to do with railroading.
Please. Yeah.
I've never GM'd a mystery that I created myself.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on railroading when it comes to preparing your own? I mean, because there's the thing that kind of jumps to my head is today railroading is a swear word, right?
Yeah.
You can't. Thou shalt not railroad your characters.
Right.
But in fact, if there's any place that it should be done, it's in an investigative kind of game or a mystery.
Yeah.
So how do you? What's your thought process between like trying to kind of get us going in the right direction, bearing in mind like time constraints on a stream show, etc., and trying to keep it feeling open-ended and like we have to make the decisions and we can go wherever we want. Like how do you approach that in terms of your prep and your kind of mystery your adventure design, your mystery design?
Yeah. So, I mean, the biggest thing for me, like railroading, I think we've discovered through Mud and Blood in the Discord, is that it has a million different definitions, and so yeah, for me, railroading, at least the bad kind of railroading, the kind that we don't want to do, is removing agency and choice, right? Like people's decisions should matter. Yeah. And if you're ever doing this thing where you're like, oh yeah, you do this, but Quantum Ogre, or you know what I mean? Like if you're ever like, whatever you just chose, it doesn't really matter because I need you to be in this one spot. I think that's a big problem. So I very much try to avoid that. What I will do, and how I say how I've written this. I very much followed what's in this.
Oh,
it has
you got the fancy version.
Yeah, it has like the beautiful like the mystery chapter. It's very good advice for writing a mystery, I feel, especially after running one, kind of written more or less to template. In that the way I have things set up is there are places, right? There are places you could go. And these places kind of present themselves as places to go. I never felt I had to sort of push you to them, right? You found them all, you went to them all, and there were clues you found in all of them, which I had written out beforehand, right? In a couple of cases, like, I've written like, this can be discovered here, blah, 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 blah. And also there's sort of overlap. So some clues you're going to get sort of no matter what, because you sort of need them. So in that way, it might seem sort of quantum, but it's actually like it makes sense internally, right? These people know the same thing.
So that's like clues that are in more than one location or more than
yeah,
one
exactly,
source?
Right.
Okay.
So there are different. I think in all the different locations, there were clues that said, "Oh, hey, there's a Vaesen on this island," right? That's in all of them. You can find that out no matter where you go.
We picked that one up pretty quickly, I think.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then then there are like further on clues that sort of increase your knowledge of what that is, how you might deal with it, what its history is, what its relationship to the village is. Yeah. So there's some things that people absolutely have to know to get you to the final part of this, right? It's like, is there a Vaesen? What's it doing? Where is it? Right? Like once you know those things, you're kind of along the way, right? You realize what the confrontation is. Then there are conflicts. They become pretty obvious as you're playing. So yeah, I never felt that I had to railroad, but you do have like, again, this counter system where you can ramp up the pressure, right? And I don't really view that as railroading because how you react to that is completely up to you. And ultimately, you had the choice, which you took, of being like, "We're out. That's good." Like, okay, this happened. Priest is dead. We're leaving, right? Like, I was never like, no, you have to fight the Vaesen. You know what I mean? Like, no, that was not how it played out, and it's not how I think it should have played out based on our narratives. So yeah, so some of that I'm sure someone interprets as railroading, but to me at least it's not like the sort of worst possible interpretation or like the worst possible form of railroad, which is where you just remove choices.
I mean, for what's worth, I didn't feel like I was being led to something. I mean, yes, we were discovering the mystery, but I didn't feel like you were taking us through this narrow path. I mean, at the end, it was us. I mean, yes, there were clear clues, as you said, and then we can take them or not. It's our choice at the end of the day. I mean, it's like, do we go through the forest or we go through the main road? Main road. I mean, that's on the first game, you already show we are taking we are calling the shots here. It's not you are not leading us. You're telling us the things. We can do whatever we want. And so that's that. Even for me, like leaving was, it was our decision at the end, as you said. And I think that was quite powerful to say. I've never done that. If I was playing D&D, I would say, fuck it. Let's go for it. I would just take out my sword and say, well, chop, chop.
I think the road's a great example, right? Like I kind of like wrote this into it specifically being like, oh, you definitely shouldn't go this way. You guys went that way. It's not something I assumed you would do or thought or planned that you would do. But because I had written it the way I did, like it was fine. Like I could just fall back on what I already had, and it had consequences with how the rest of the mystery played out, right? Like it set this antagonistic tone almost with the entity, right? So yeah.
Yeah.
But it's fine. I mean, that's what you chose. I mean, it should matter.
Yeah. And I mean, also, I think there's a strong difference between strong narrative direction and railroading. So like having the clues be clear and having the clues be available is not running a bad mystery. It's just like you find the clue, you decide what to do with it. But you have to have the clues. If they are not there, what are we supposed to do?
I mean, so like, it's somewhat, you can almost describe every mystery as being a railroaded adventure, really, right? Because you have to have, unless you're doing some sort of like, I did read for Trail of Cthulhu, I think, had some advice for doing like seeding clues on the fly. But the idea is basically, the GM needs to know what the mystery is, otherwise what the fuck are you playing, really? And you have to have clues there to lead them to it. So it's like you've got to lead characters to the end position. And I guess railroading is more like there's a set track, you have to go down like this, and I guess keeping it more open and having lots of clues seeded all over the place makes it less like that. But there's an argument to be said that you're kind of leading the characters, you're leading the players anyway towards a conclusion. So go on. Sorry.
What you were describing is what Liam describes as the famous quantum clues that I'm a fan of. With the Trail of Cthulhu thing, where it's like it's like you were saying, you don't have the actual clues planned because it depends on what the characters decide to do. If they go to the morgue, then there might be a clue that might be related to there. But if they don't go to the morgue, you don't plan like a gazillion clues. But it's not that you're going to find a dead body no matter where you go. It's like, let's go to the amusement park, dead body. Let's go to the dead body.
That's actually what Trail of Cthulhu advises as well. It says to have some clue, like you're actually preparing some clues which are floating, I think they call them, or something. Floating clues, and they are specific clues that aren't tied to a location or an NPC, and you basically can just drop them in wherever it's narratively appropriate. And I like that. That's kind of a cool approach. But that's used in conjunction with other specific clues, right? So it's kind of like just another. I guess you could run an entire mystery where it's just like you've got these floating clues for the whole thing, and it's just make it up as you go a little bit.
Yeah, because, for example, you'd have a clue that is X person was killed by a knife. And that's the clue. And how they arrive at that clue could be many separate ways. They could analyze the body. They could look for the murder weapon. They could there's many ways you could arrive at that conclusion, so you don't actually have the railroaded plan to where they have to go or where they'll be.
Yeah, you haven't written down in your prep notes that the knife is hidden in this location. Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's effectively what I did. Right. Again, like it was never going to be hard for you to find out that there was a Vaesen on the island. And any sort of location you went, you were going to sort of learn that in one way or the other. However, like there are other like clues that are sort of location specific or tied to challenges or things like that, which weren't. But they were also not sort of necessary for getting you to the end of the mystery if you wanted to do that, right? So yeah, it's sort of like think of like the secondary objectives that give you the more optimal solution, right? Those are going to be harder to find if you want to think of it in that sort of sense. The most railroady. Sorry, Rodis. What are you
No, go ahead. No, I was just gonna say that I think that it's not only your responsibility as a GM to close the adventure as well as ours. Like, we could be like horrible players, and Sven comes with an axe and says, "Let's finish this," and you're like, "No, we're gonna stand here and fight, and then we're gonna set up a church here and protect the church," and we create this whole wacky narrative. But it's also up to us to seek the closure kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, you could have done that, and there was another thing I had coming, so it's fine. But yeah, but that's the strength of the way they sort of suggest doing this. Yeah, but exactly, you just pointed out that the most railroady thing I felt I did was Sven grabbing the axe and being like, "Let's go,"
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, but he wouldn't have wandered in there on his own, so.
Yeah, no, I mean, he was reacting, I felt perfectly appropriately in his character to what was happening. But yeah, at the same time, it's also me as a GM being like, we're moving this on.
Yeah, I mean, I was never bothered by it at all, and I don't think anyone else was either.
No.
So.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool. All right, cool. Well, I mean, the final...
I do wonder how we could have won that. I mean, win is relative. How we could have defeated that thing without... I mean, maybe don't tell us, but, without fighting.
In the situation we were in, I don't see any way we could have won.
I mean, we never talk about it after, but but maybe not the GM, but now that we are out of the thing, I don't even know. If you ask me, what could have you done differently?
Maybe if the GM hadn't thrown us at the bad guys at the very start.
I don't know what you mean.
I don't know what you don't mean.
Yeah.
This is true. We were not prepared for a fight. I mean, nobody had. I mean, we were not well prepared. I mean, I think it was clear for our first mistake, we didn't probably pick the right rules for
I mean, one thing I can think of. Sorry, go on, Rodrigo.
No. Go ahead.
So what I was gonna say was, one thing I could possibly have thought of is like if we would have been able to rally the village in some way and like convince the entire village that this needs to go. And like the future is coming, whatever, and then we'd like if Selma and Hjalmar would have done stuff, because the rest of you are not very empathetic, and I think as characters. I mean, like as stat wise, I mean.
That's nothing.
It's just that's the game. Empathy is a skill. Anyway, so going on from that, I just think that like that could have been a solution. Possibly.
And then you have killed the maid, I guess, right?
Yeah.
It's just a violent thing.
Burn the tree, I guess.
Burning the tree would have been part of it. There is sort of a ritual as well, sort of that you could have discovered.
Yeah, I got the impression that just attacking the Vaesen wouldn't have been very effective.
Yeah.
And everything was tied to the tree. So yeah, destroying the trees seemed like if we want to do anything, but it's like how the hell are we gonna do that in the moment? Like, yeah.
Yeah.
I think we had a. Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think approaching the tree with villagers who were willing to do that, it would have sensed the intent, and could have easily turned them against her. So, or against us, against themselves, and. I don't know. I think I don't really see. I was even thinking about this afterwards, after we finished playing. Like, if we were to call, like, let's take this forward to a conclusion that we discussed, which was getting the army involved. All it takes is for the army to arrive. There's still people, and the Vaesen could sense their intent and basically possess the commander or someone and be like, nope, and just do that ad nauseum until eventually they're in the year 2010 and they just nuke the thing or something, you know, from a distance. Like, all right, we've had enough of this fucking witch. We're gonna
yeah.
And then we blame Mutant Year Zero.
Well, yeah.
Ultimately, the same universe. Who knew?
What I was gonna say is that I think there were a few major factors. I think the first one was that we obviously deviated from the mystery and we focused a lot on the consequences of our first actions, not blaming anyone. But no, I mean, I think that was really interesting. There was a lot of character depth to it. I think it was some really fun role playing, but it obviously took time away from the mystery. Included with the part that this is one, we were all new characters that didn't know each other. So there's always that first awkward getting to know each other character thing. And even outside of the characters, we're still, as a group of players, we're still getting to know each other as players. So there's still that other awkward thing where a group that's been playing for a really long time has that thing where they can immediately sync up and do this and do that. So I think those three things combined made the mystery a little longer to solve. Like, instead of focusing on the mystery, we were focusing more on the role playing, the connection between the characters, the incident that happened at the beginning. And we weren't so much investigating what ritual can we do to this spirit? What is this spirit? What's going on here? Who are you? What's up here? Let's talk to people. You know, there was a little bit less investigation.
Yeah. I mean, we kind of never investigated what the Vaesen could have been.
Yeah.
Which is a little bit of a flaw in our methodology, you could say. But it is what it is. Like, until we saw it, I was quite sure that it was going to be one of those lake maidens. And there was like, oh, it's an ash wife. Oh, okay. But yeah, I mean, that was definitely something we need to look at more. I think Hjalmar will need to read a few books on folklore before we go out next time.
But then I also have a question, because I haven't read the book. Okay, I don't know much, so I don't even have the PDF. So what's the purpose of the society itself? Is to root out this Vaesen from the thing, or is to conserve, to try to understand, to try to find the equilibrium? What's the real purpose of the society at the end of the day, or how we want to have our society? I don't know.
It's actually, it's more the latter, right? So the society as an institution, I'm not gonna say too much about this, but it's sort of had people that have taken both approaches. One is sort of like trying to sort of resolve conflicts, and another and understand these creatures, and another one which is very much, well, we just gotta burn them, destroy them all, right? So the society historically has taken both these approaches, and it's kind of like up to you how you approach each situation. And ultimately, you're going to be confronted with situations in which, maybe both approaches are valid, right?
I don't know what it actually says in the English, but in the Swedish it says for hundreds of years has studied, and a word that could be translated as driven away. Vaesen. Though, and I assume in English it could say exterminate, or defeat, or something.
It says exterminate.
What page is that on, roughly?
It's 79. I mean, the first little bit about the society itself.
Yeah.
It says, like, in this chapter, historical background is given to the society and so on. And there it says, like, studied and driven away, fördriven.
Banishing.
Yeah.
Banishing, of course, yeah. So that's less like killing,
Kind of more driving them away, pushing them out of the kind of rural areas, deeper and deeper into the forest. Maybe at the end is killing them. But in a way. No, but that's I think that's also a question. I mean, I don't see Amadeo being violent. I mean, if you need to get into a fight and go punch somebody, fine, we'll punch. But I don't see Amadeo. I mean, and this is something that we need to evolve. But I don't see Amadeo as somebody pushing away these creatures or trying to, unless they are really trying to kill people, and then we'll see about that. But
I mean, sorry, Tony.
No, but it's just my. I'm thinking like what Amadeo will do if he feels like, should we kill this thing that is trying to live here? I mean, I don't know. It's
I mean, in my mind, the only character really that is interested in killing Vaesen is Sven. Or at least like fighting them. That like it seems to be an interest of the character, at least slightly.
Well, I don't know. I seem to remember Hjalmar with a bottle of liquor and a cloth and getting ready to go complete finish on that fist.
Well, I mean, Hjalmar was trying to finish the situation by doing something desperate. He didn't go in with the plan to burn it. That was just something like, oh crap, we need to burn this thing. Was an idea he had. Or actually,
which was a good idea. That would have been an approach.
Yeah. He was also
planning on... been very misty and cold and wet, so I'm not sure how it would have caught on fire.
Yeah, I mean, it would probably not have worked. But yeah, he was also planning on cracking the skull of the priest to get... You know, so he was definitely thinking of a lot of stuff there.
Poor guy.
So my what's it called? My trauma is that I saw my destiny in the eyes of a dying mermaid. So I guess you could just say that like Sven didn't die facing off against this Vaesen, so that's why he felt maybe a little bit more reckless than normal. I was kind of just playing my character a little bit recklessly, I think, because that's how I kind of perceived him, especially as this is our first adventure, right? He's not particularly old. He's from the noble class. And he kind of believes in the Vaesen, but he also believes more in getting back to where he belongs, right? This is just like something that's bothering those peasants in the countryside. And it's like, I don't know, like he's very selfish and also I think just very, very reckless. And I think this will have changed him as a character, so we'll see what happens in future. But yeah, I know what you mean. Like, I did kind of feel like if people wanted to attack the Vaesen, I would have been in there somehow.
Yeah.
I mean, I was crouching behind rocks, getting ready with the pistol and stuff, right?
Yeah.
At the end, I was like, preparing myself. Like, okay, am I getting ready to attack somebody? Like, I'll leave it to you to do the talking. I'll be the muscle if you need me.
And I think it's interesting that kind of ties in with the fact that your character is the one coming out of this with a permanent scar. You know, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, probably Toni will, or rather Amadeo will have a permanent scar too. It's just not mechanical, getting shot in the leg or whatever it was.
Oh yeah, no, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, mechanically, yeah, I know.
I'm the only one who had the critical go
permanent.
Yeah.
Permanent, right?
Yeah.
Defects.
Did it also go permanent?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We rolled for it in Discord after the event.
Yeah.
Or maybe even at the end of the last session, actually.
At the end of the last session.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so like my final talking point is what we're already doing was just talking about the mystery itself, which, if you are watching Three Skulls Tavern, it's on the last episode of episode 3 of Vaesen, the Maid of Dalafjord. If you've been watching, you can download it. It's in the show notes. So definitely have a look. I would love any.
I'll stick a link to it in the chat as well, so anybody
That'd be
watching
awesome.
this
Yeah,
right now
because I would love any sort of further comments or stories if you play through it.
Oh my god, it's done a YouTube redirect. Fucking hell. Longest URL ever. Yeah, I'll put it in the chat right now. As soon as
awesome.
Yeah, I don't see it on the comments.
It's in the comments, in the description.
It's
there now in the chat anyway for this one. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So yeah. Any other thoughts about the mystery generally? I guess that's where we are now. Things that you liked, didn't like.
I guess I have a question for you when you were designing it.
Yeah.
How did you choose the the actual Vaesen. I mean, like
Oh.
I know that there's a bestiary. I've skimmed it previously, but I've not actually read it in detail. And I know that it's quite obvious which one was one in this one, the Ash wife, I think, as Simon said. How did you How did you choose that one specifically when you were designing?
That's interesting. Yeah. So how I came up with that is actually with the Kickstarter, there were like some posters. And the poster I chose is the Vaesen I chose. Like, for whatever reason, like the Ash Tree wife just sort of spoke to me, and I knew I wanted to use it. And then it was a matter of thinking of something that would feel thematic for that Vaesen, and that's sort of what I crafted the mystery around. But it was very much of just like sort of going through these images, and yeah, it just spoke to me. And I was like, all right, we're going with that.
Are there random tables for like Vaesens to involve for creating mysteries? Okay.
Absolutely, yeah. So there's random tables to go through for almost everything, which is really nice. So you can select your Vaesen and sort of what the conflicts are and characters.
Cool.
It's really cool.
So you can randomly generate an entire mystery, like the bones of a mystery, and then just
or I mean, yeah, exactly. So, and just like you would with like Forbidden Lands, with like the tables for creating an adventure site, like you can make a roll and it will come up with something. And even if you don't use that result, you can be like, oh, maybe I can like tweak that a little, and yeah, it's really good.
Okay, cool. Very cool. Yeah, I'm interested to see what you come up with for the next one. Really.
Yeah. Next mystery.
And I
mean, a little different.
And I mean, I think everyone that has looked at the mystery as written knows that there was supposed to be a few other details in the mystery that didn't happen because of, well, the first session, really. So, like, one thing I was thinking was how you decided to deal with that, because you obviously had prepped other details, and how you changed that as we went along to sort of redirect it.
So I'm trying to think of anything I entirely left out. I don't think there's anything I entirely left out. Like, I at least alluded to the other sort of things that you could have investigated more. Yeah. Yeah, if you can think of an example of something I just didn't.
I mean, there was this
at all.
Sort of implied, like, the love story between the priest and this Leia
Yeah.
Sven. That didn't really. I mean, it was very loosely implied.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
like, it's not something I ever managed to pick up upon.
Yeah, it's a shame. Yeah, I think that ended up having to do with order in which you started finding things. So I definitely did mention the key, that you saw the key on the vase in Sven's home, but again, it was just sort of in passing. It was sort of out of context. Later on, Selma found like the sort of the underwear inside the chief's chambers, right? Like there are little things that were there, but yeah, we never got fully in there. Which, yeah, I mean, could have changed things with how you dealt with stuff. I had ideas that perhaps the maid would sort of reveal this, sort of start turning you against the priest in some way. Because there's I mean, I tried to write it so that there's any number of possible sort of resolutions. But, you know, in my mind, you know, one resolution I thought of was sort of like arranging a new marriage underneath the tree. Right? And that's kicking the can down the road. But sometimes that's all you can do.
Okay.
Between the priest and Milda.
Yeah. Maybe. Or maybe it's Sven and Milda still, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's sort of, yeah, we just didn't get there. But who knows? Someone will, maybe. I hope.
Yeah. All right. One other question I had about the mystery was: did you write the mystery with the characters in mind, or did you write it before?
I don't think I really. I think I mostly. Oh, that's a great question. This was a while ago now.
I think you did it before we created our characters.
Yeah.
I think I might have finished it before you had created your characters. It's something I thought about as we got in, and and in play, I certainly thought about how different things may sort of play into your characters. But this mystery wasn't taking into account sort of dark secrets or anything like that.
Yeah, because one thing I was specifically thinking of that it would be very interesting to play through this mystery as is the priest. If you play a priest character, this mystery will be extremely different.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. Yeah.
So that was like, because I was sort of eyeing a priest at one point. I was like, it would be very interesting to play one of these, and I was like, this would have been very, very different. But that's just that. Like, I thought about how this would have been different if we had gone in with different characters.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there are a number of different ways. I mean, really, like, you thought of it a different way. I think you brought this up as well, Simon, that if you go in with like an officer and a servant or whatever, and you just like murder the thralls at the beginning, but how does that change things, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully other people play it, and maybe we'll get some stories.
Maybe we should add a survey at the end. What happened at the end of your story? And so you can get all the how do you solve this? That would be nice to see.
Yeah, I mean, I could possibly run this for some of my friends in future, so we'll see.
Cool.
Well, you've got the PDF with all the notes, so easy peasy. Yeah, cool. You're gonna put it up on the Free League Workshop, right?
Yeah, that's the plan.
Cool.
How does it work? Do they have a CC BY or something like that?
No, there's an open gaming license for all the Year Zero games. Not all the Year Zero games, for most of the Year Zero games. The ones that aren't kind of undercomplicated intellectual property rights.
So Alien is one that's not.
Alien's not. Tales from the Loop sort of isn't. Sort of is.
Oh, because of Amazon.
It's. I think you can't. People are releasing Tales from the Loop content on the Free League Workshop because the templates for it were released, but they were then taken down. But I don't think Free League are policing policing what's being released there. More a case of like, well, we don't have the templates available anymore. And I don't know if they've been put back up yet or not. But anyway, I did all the Word document templates for Free League, and I've done the Vaesen one last week for them as well. So that will be there will be Vaesen content on the Free League Workshop soon.
Cool.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to if anyone has any feedback, I would love to read it, and then before I sort of.
Yeah, as I was saying, I'm planning to run it possibly for my old uni group as a sort of Halloween treat. And we'll see if it happens.
You gonna do?
And I will definitely get feedback.
You gonna do random character generation or pre-gens or?
Not sure.
Because you could, if you did pre-gens or at least like partial pre-gens, you could specify like, here's a priest.
Yeah, yeah. I've been thinking of doing sort of a Oscar Sicalius or something like that, with a very priestly name, and get one of them to do that. Maybe an officer too, just to see what happens.
Yeah.
There's quite a few good published adventures. Well, when published adventures are done well, I quite like them when they recommend pre-gens in a specific order. Like, this is the most important pre-gen. Someone needs to do this one first. So when the party are coming together and they're choosing the pre-gen, they're actually the GM knows to tell them, right, whichever pre-gen you want to take, somebody needs to take this one because it's quite central to the plot.
Yeah.
And that's usually an absolutely fine thing to do for characters, and you don't want to be stuck afterwards being like, oh, because I ran Black Voids for Mud and Blood. And,
I was going to mention that. I knew you had that in mind.
Yeah. And that was definitely the case where there were five pre-gens and 4 players, and the one that wasn't taken was the one that really was necessary to survive the adventure.
Yeah.
Because we had a total party kill at the end. But I mean, that's fine. It was at the end of the session, and it was only meant to be one shot, so that's a win for me still.
Yeah, the Tales from the Loop box set adventure has that, where they have recommended pre-gens 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, I think it's important. And also, like, 3rd edition of Warhammer had this big, like, Enemy Within campaign, which I ran the first act of. And that had a really interesting concept as well, which had... it had cards for background hooks, and you basically shuffle them out, and every PC got a card, and it had your connection to the plot. And it was a really interesting way of handling that as well, where it's kind of like you could kind of create your own character. You could go with pre-gens, but you need to have a hook to the plot, and there were several different hooks into it, and it wasn't reliant on any single one. And that was a really clever way I thought of doing it as well. But anyway, kind of off the plot a little bit here, but
we're finishing up.
I think if you're talking about running somebody else's like a published adventure or a pre-written adventure, then I think that's always worth including in there is recommended player recommended, like, are they called archetypes or careers? I can't remember if they're called in Vaesen. Archetypes.
Archetypes,
I believe. Yeah.
That
Something like
right.
that. That could be it. I mean, I don't know if I can't remember if you put it in
Archetypes is the one, yeah.
Yeah.
But something like that. Like, here's like to get the most out of this adventure, it'd be good to have
Yeah.
either somebody in a position of authority, maybe like a priest or a police officer or something like that, where
It's interesting in this case. I'm not sure that if there's anything I would recommend. I feel like you can really do it with anyone.
I think so as well. I think, yeah, as
I read it
Simon
pretty-
said,
I
it
wrote
might have a
pretty
different,
neutrally.
might have a slightly different outcome, or like the role play elements will be
Yeah,
very
one
different.
thing you could
It's a
do-
good idea just to have like a paragraph maybe of like, it might be interesting if you blah blah blah
Yeah.
do this.
One thing you could really do is like have recommended parties that would be interesting. That's another thing. Like so like if you want to have this sort of experience dealing with these issues, have a priest. If you want to have this, have a hunter, you know.
That's a really
that
good
kind of
idea.
thing.
Yeah.
Impossible difficulty, get a priest.
Yeah. Actually, now that I think about it, this would actually be quite brilliant for a lot of these mysteries. Like having, for all of the archetypes, you have this little section where they have like, if you have one of these, talk about this. If you have one of these, talk about this, and so on and so on.
You can focus on these elements
Yeah.
of it, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good idea.
That's a good idea. Cool. I think we're at a natural point to stop the stream.
Yep.
We're 2 minutes before the scheduled end, so I think that's it for us. So
Yeah, thanks everyone.
yeah, thanks everyone for turning up. Thanks also Eric for doing the tavern talk. I always like being the host. It's always nice to not have to be the one running the stream and the content as well.
Cool.
But yeah.
No, I'm sure.
Cool. So just to remind everyone, we're going to be playing again on the 10th, was it?
October,
Of
yeah.
October,
That sounds right.
which will be a Sunday. I'll just double check that. Pretty quickly.
Only like 2 weeks
Should
away.
be, I think, all of them.
It's 11th, October 11th.
11th of
Yeah.
October. So that's going to be our 4th session. And as we said just a little bit before, we've got another session then, kind of 4 weeks after that in November. Currently scheduled again on the 8th of November. And then we're hoping to come back on the 10th of January. So that's kind of like our next 3 sessions coming up. And it may be that when we come back in January, we'll be coming back every 2 weeks. So we'll see how that goes. Because all we'll have to do is just fit Forbidden Lands around it, which shouldn't be too difficult. Yeah. And that could
Figure
work.
it out.
I think that could work quite well for Vaesen. So as long as we'll talk about it offline. So watch this space. We're definitely still doing for the next 2 sessions. We're only doing once a month. So
Yep.
catch you then.
Yeah. Cool.
Bye-bye.
All right. Thanks
Bye.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Let's see. Where's Kevin?